It was after 9/11, so 2001. I was not working. The economy was bad. We were all in depression. I'm in New York, right? So I literally saw the smoke from the buildings. I knew two of my aunt and one of my college roommates got out just in time. They were in the second tower that was hit, so neither one was killed. But I knew a lot of people who were. It was just a downtime for the whole country and New York. And I was in between jobs, in between relationships, just feeling hopeless, and I needed something to do. And I got in the mail a boomerang-shaped invitation to a Dale Carnegie training, like 90-minute sampler workshop. And I usually just throw that stuff out, but I was like, the boomerang, it was kind of like there's no coming back from this. So I love that metaphor of the boomerang, because you throw it, you could get hit in the head or you could catch it when it comes back. So I went to this event, and again, as an introvert, it's very uncomfortable for me to go to anything where I don't know anything about it or anyone there. But I went, I forced myself, and I was introduced to the two guys who were running the workshop. And one of them, after talking to me, said, I really think this, and learning a little bit about me in just 5 minutes, he said, I really think this would help you with your confidence, with your public speaking skills. Because at the time, I was always, again, a back of the room, behind the scenes person. I had never spoken publicly. I never had to, in all my years of school or work, how to get up in front of a crowd, and that just was not my comfort zone. But I forced myself to go. So I signed up for the day. And in fact, he said to me, because I was doing management leadership stuff, he said, I think you would make a good trainer, and we need people to do management leadership training. So you have the content, the subject matter knowledge, even if you don't have the platform skills. But I think if you get those skills, you could be a great asset to us. And he said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you through the training, and if you like it, you could go through it again as a class coach. So you coached, and then you could go on to get certified as a trainer. And I'm like, that was the farthest thing from my mind. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a trainer. I'm going to get up in front of people and do this. But I went through the training. I showed up for the train day one, and I did not like the instructor. She was like very talking to the group as if we were kindergarten students, and it just rubbed me the wrong way. So at the break, I said, this is not for me. I don't like this woman. I'm so uncomfortable. After the break, we each have to get up and talk, and that's not something I want to do. So I took my coat and my bag, and I was going to go home. And I went to the restroom, and then it was just, everyone was going back into the room, and I peeked through the window. They were just about to start. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go back in just for the second half. As much as I hated it, and I went back in and I got hooked, and I became a Dale Carnegie trainer. I became a college professor at NYU and Columbia. I've done a TEDx talk. I'm a public speaker. If I had turned around and gone home at the midpoint that day, none of that stuff would have happened, and I have no idea what I'd be doing today. My book wouldn't have happened. All of the things that happened since. So like, you talk about a moment in time, almost like a snapshot. I could actually picture myself out of body experience, looking through that porthole window, saying, do I go back in or not? And that's the moment that, so I actually wrote this down on this index card as I was thinking through, and I just wrote down, if I had to title this, I would call this Go In or Go Home. And I went in, and that changed everything. If I had gone home, who knows what I'd be doing today.
Wow, thank you for sharing that story. That's a cool story.
It's the first time I've ever told it I've mentioned it a few times to people, but I've never told it publicly before. So it was just interesting I was kind of channeling it as I was describing it to you.
I love that. In that moment where you're making that decision, like when you look back on it, did it feel like time waited for you to make that decision? Like time kind of held its breath for a second?
Yeah, for a second. Yeah, it literally was like I was aware at that moment, because I thought back on other times where I did leave things.
Right.
And you always wonder like what happened. It's almost like It's a Wonderful Life, or it's like a movie where, right, someone makes a choice, but you get a chance to rewind the tape and say, what if they made this other choice? Or a movie that has multiple endings. So it was literally like one of those moments that I said, you know what, I lose nothing by going back in, but I can lose a lot by going back home. Right. So that was my thought process. And it all happened, like you said, almost frozen in time, because I had to make that decision in 60 seconds because they were just about to start. And I had my coat and my bag. It would have been very easy for me to slip out, as I've done so many other times in my life at networking events where I was uncomfortable and or I just had enough and I just wanted to leave and get home to my wife. So, yeah,